we could do a little bit of work on the most inner part here, the soul, and get it reconnected to God, because this world has a lot of stuff in between this soul and my God that would be distracting. And Satan is using everything he can. From New Life Ministries, this is Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn. I'm Stephen Arterburn. And Going Deeper is all about taking the tough issues, the hard issues of life, looking a little bit deeper inside so that we can gain some insight into our lives. Hi, Steve Arterburn here, and thanks for joining me for Going Deeper. We're going deeper into the soul, and of course we're talking about a little bit about the book. We're going to talk more about the book next week, The Soul of a Hero. And again, that part about the hero isn't always having to find someone desperate that needs to be pulled out of a ditch. It's a mature adult person, man, in this book, relating to an adult woman on an adult level. That's what this is all about. That's the hero guy. But first of all, I want to talk to you about your soul, because sometimes our soul's trying to tell us something and we are not listening. How would we know that our soul's a little bit restful, or we need to do some soul work, or literally our soul is rumbling? And maybe if we did some work in connecting with our soul, and again, it wants to connect with God. Your soul wants to connect with God. You know, my soul longs for thee, says the psalmist. And he knew that that's what the soul would never be content with if it wasn't connected with God. And think of all the stuff we get connected to, get us distracted from this connection, this intimacy with God. So first of all, maybe you just sense that something isn't right. Okay, there's just something not right. And I would say there are kind of three areas that might not be right. And we'd call these the 3 R's of not rightness. And of course, that big one is, we'll call it relationship. None of the relationships are what you want them to be. You don't understand. In fact, you literally don't understand. There's several people telling you, there's a problem here, or I don't get it with you, or whatever. And you really feel disconnected to them, and thus, of course, you're disconnected from God. So relationship, it's just not feeling right. Now, on the other hand, you really might be growing spiritually, and you're not able to communicate that in a very healthy way to those that aren't growing spiritually. So all of a sudden, you're on a different plane and disconnected from them. And you're kind of holding it over them that you're growing. You don't do it intentionally maybe, but it happens. The second thing, we'll just call it religion, even though we say Christianity is not a religion. But there's just something about the way you're participating in church or whatever you're dealing to connect with God. It's just not working right. It just doesn't feel right. It really is uncomfortable, and you're experiencing discomfort. Then the third R, I would just say, is the repair R. For some reason, you're not able to repair things that get broken in relationships in your life. It's kind of like they start building up one on top of the other. If we could just slow down and try to pay attention to what we're feeling, what we're sensing, then maybe we could do a little bit of work on the most inner part here, the soul, and get it reconnected to God, because this world has a lot of stuff in between this soul and my God that would be distracting. And Satan is using everything he can. Second thing, sometimes people, all of a sudden they say, I want to make a difference, and I'm not making a difference. Maybe you say, I'm a car mechanic, and yeah, I'm fixing some cars and stuff, but am I really making a difference? Boy, that is a great question to ask, because in your line of work, you are making a difference. And you know that if you ever misrepair something and the person comes back, they're really upset. But maybe that's what you do during the day, and it's time to start thinking about, what are you going to do 1 hour every evening? Is it take a course to do something different? Is it to volunteer? Something you've always wanted to do but haven't been equipped to do it, but you're really interested now and you want to make a difference with it. boy, that's a great thing to follow through on. It's a sign that there's some stirrings in your soul. We'll go to number 3, and that is, you have these roles in life, and maybe you've done really well with them, but you don't want to be defined by those roles. Maybe you're a loving husband, and you hate that because it just sounds like you're just a thing over here that just does what everybody's supposed to do. Well, there's nothing wrong with wanting to go beyond the loving husband. I'm grateful you're loving and that you're a husband. But yeah, sometimes we want to do something exciting, or we want to be seen as an artist, or seen as a leader, or something else other than just the role of loving husband. I would say much more common is people have this great role of wife and mother, and they just don't want to be defined that way, but they don't know how or what to do. I would just say this, it's a sign that your soul is kind of waking up, or it's stirring, and I hope you'll pay attention to it. And then maybe you sit down with somebody who has a really great sense of spiritual things over, natural things. Somebody that maybe has insight into the body, the mind, the soul, the spirit, all those things could help you figure out what it is that you're longing for, or what it is that you're hoping you could become other than just this role that you're being defined as. And then finally, and I got to tell you, this happened to me when I was really young. It happened to me in 1982. I wanted to express myself in some unique way. I wanted to write a book. And by 1984, I had written my first book. Today, you don't have to write a book to find a way to express yourself on certain issues. There are blogs, there are websites, there are so many different ways that you could do it on Facebook and YouTube and all of that. And I would just say, maybe it's time that you took a little bit of time every day. You sat down and you ask yourself, what is this soul wanting to express? What is it that I want to contribute to other people? And then you write it down, and you do it again, and you do it again. What you may be writing are some great points that you could use in a series that literally could be viewed by thousands of people, or hundreds of people, or millions of people. But what I've found is whether or not somebody looks at 1,000 books of mine or 10, just the process of getting it on paper, expressing it, and getting it out there in concrete, out there, not just stuck in here, but it's right there. Boy, that feels so good. I'll just say this, over the years I've heard a lot of people say they want to write a book. Not really. They want to have written a book. It's actually what they want, because it's not easy, or everybody would do it. But you don't have to write a book. So I would just say, if you feel this urge to express something you've never expressed before, in a way that you've never expressed it, then start to write. Take some time on a regular basis. Develop that amazing habit of getting it on paper. I'm going to finish this list tomorrow here on Going Deeper. And next week, we're going to be really getting into the book, The Soul of a Hero, the last book that I ever wrote with the late Dr. David Stoop. You come join me then. Thank you for joining me for Going Deeper. I hope something I've said may have helped just a little bit. If you have a question you'd like me to answer or comment, just email me at stevesocial@newlife.com. I'll see you next time.
If you want to support Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. And if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, be sure to share it with them. See you on the next Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries.